pepper. This time 2 years ago, I had the great good fortune to be invited to go to India with a film crew who were making a documentary film about tribal people and their herbal medicines. And it took a year to get the permits to go into the villages because they were so remote and isolated. They were sort of like going to the reservation. Those people were actually considered, quote, protected primitive people. That was the term. I'm not sure they appreciated that. But they had land which they were farming in a very subsistence manner, but they were not allowed to sell that land. They were mostly illiterate. Some of the tribes that we filmed with, one of the tribes had only 1,500 members in the whole tribe, and they only spoke their own language. They had their own costumes, their own handicrafts that nobody else had. So definitely threatened populations. In the 14 villages that we filmed in several different climates, from higher in the mountains down into the hot plains, as we got down into the lower elevations, we found a lot of pepper in their villages, and it was a very, very important medicine for them. They were proud to show us their pepper vines. It is a vine. And it's, of course, the fruit or the berry that we're using as a medicine. There are, in the grocery stores, you can buy the green peppercorns. Those are picked unripe and then pickled or dried to stop them ripening after they've been picked. You can get the white peppercorns, which have gone to maturity, but then they are peeled, mechanically peeled. Or you can get the classic black peppercorn, which is harvested at full maturity and just allowed to dry. There's no real processing. So as a medicine, that would be the preferred kind. And pepper is a very interesting medicine. How many of you have pepper in your home? Okay. How many of you use pepper on your dish, on your food? Good. Because it's a really useful medicine. How many of you take supplements? Vitamins, minerals? Okay, so those of you that do, go home tonight and have a look on the bottle, on the label. And very often you'll see the last ingredient, which means the least amount in the bottle. The last ingredient is something called bioperine. Bioperine is an extract of black pepper. It's actually an extract from the volatile or essential oil of black pepper. And it increases the absorption of all your nutrients. So that's why it's put into your supplements, and that's why it's good to put it on your food. If you grind fresh black pepper on your food, note, grinding the fresh black pepper, not purchasing it pre-ground, you have all those volatile compounds coming out of the fresh ground seed, and it slightly irritates the stomach lining, just enough to get more blood supply into that tissue, which enhances absorption of nutrients. If you look at traditional uses of condiments with foods, they often do things like that. So, the mint sauce with your roast lamb, or the horseradish with your roast beef, those are, or my mom used to put cloves into the roast pork. She used to, score the skin and put the cloves in. All of those are carminative, and they help you digest those fatty, rich meats. So putting black pepper on your food, whatever the dish, is going to enhance the nutrient absorption. You're going to get more bang for your buck. You're going to get more nutrition out, just like you get more nutrition from your supplement. You're going to get more out of your dinner if you put the black pepper on. And again, fresh ground, because if you purchase pre-ground, guess what? All those volatile compounds have dissipated, and it doesn't have the same strength. And black pepper is better than white pepper for the same reason, because it's less processed. So in the drying of the white pepper, it actually loses a lot of its medicinal value. So black pepper, simple black pepper. Everybody has black pepper. Every restaurant has black pepper. And it's a medicine. So this is why I get so excited about the whole concept of food as medicine. You're doing it every day. You have to eat 3 times a day. Well, maybe twice sometimes, but you have to eat every day. So you might as well look for things that give you not just your basic vitamins, minerals, proteins, calcium, that kind of, carbohydrates, the standard stuff, but think a little bit bigger than that. Think about your food as a medicine, not just as nutrition. And in my clinical practice, patients come to me often very ill, often in a long-term treatment strategy, and often with budget restrictions. We do have socialized healthcare in Canada. What that means is everybody gets healthcare, but nobody gets very good care. There just ain't enough to go around. So I'm not sure it's better or worse than what you have here, but I think it behooves all of us to take care of our own health ourselves, starting with our dinner plate, so that we don't have to go and seek help as much or as often. Yes, we want to have doctors and hospitals for crisis interventions, but if we could all eat a little bit healthier, we'd probably not need to spend as much on our health care. And putting lots of herbs and spices into your food is, in my opinion, almost as important as having good food to start with. It's all part of the same mix. So I hope that I've whetted your appetite for herbal medicine, and I hope that I have given you some tools to go home with and actually feel like when you open that cupboard now, think about all the ways you can use those herbs and spices that you've not been using. Oh, and by the way, if you've not been using them for quite a while and they've been sitting there in the back of the cupboard, opened, unused, you know what? Dump them. Start over. You should be changing over your herbs and spices every 3 to 6 months, and you should buy them in the whole form if you can and grind them yourself when you need them, because they're much more nutritious that way. And buy small amounts often. This is not a time to save money by buying huge big bulk, because they don't keep. You want to rotate those. So smaller amounts, rotate them in the kitchen, keep them in a cool, dark place, keep them in a sealed container. I transfer everything into jam jars so I can do the lid up tight, no air. Cool, dark cupboard, not in that rack over the top of the stove. It's a terrible place to keep your herbs and spices. And again, buy whole spices and herbs if you can, and grind them or chop them as you want to use them, and grow them. You have a fabulous climate for growing a lot of these things. And there's nothing like going out to the garden and picking the fresh herbs and bringing them in. Absolutely nothing like that. Just as it is the same, that tomato fresh off the vine, still warm, it does taste different. Yeah. So I am going to draw to a close with the official presentation. David, I have one more slide I want you to stick up there, though, before he's come downstairs, but I need him to run back up and just hit the last.